Welcome to In Touch Crime Beat. I'm Officer Don with Fayette Commonwealth's Attorney Ray Larson. Going to hit on a couple of topics today. One is how victims of homicides and serious crimes cope with the holidays. This is a time of the year that a lot of things are going to come back from the loss of their loved ones. And Mary's here to talk to us about that. Plus, a new study shows that parents beware. Smoking and drinking, less kids are doing that, but more kids are smoking pot. So alcohol and tobacco use is down, but pot use is going up. So we'll have some thoughts on that too. Let's start off with how crime victims are forced to cope with the loss of their loved ones and how that affects some people this time of year.
You know, this is timely because I think Thursday, this William Bennett, the guy that shot and killed Joe Angelucci, the Fayette County Deputy Sheriff, died in prison. And
the state was hoping to avoid that, what I hear. He was up for parole, but they turned that down. But
well, they did. They wanted a medical. He asked for this prison system asked on his behalf for early release.
So the prison system was hoping that he wouldn't have to die in prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he did.
Wow. Even though he was sentenced to how many years?
120.
120. So
yeah.
The jury, if you sentence someone to 120 years, as a jury,
the jury wants him to die in prison.
You sentence this person to die in prison. Yeah. Now the prison system says no. Let's let the guy out. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt. I just saw that.
Well, but the issue, and that happened, and I heard about it. And first thing I wanted to do was to go see the Angeluccis, and there was a reason for it. Because for the past, how many Christmases, Mary, have they been, have the Angeluccis been without Joe?
This will be the 24th Christmas that they've been without Joe, and really because he was murdered in November of 1988, they started out having to deal with holidays at the very worst time after just losing a loved one.
So I went by there because I've known the Angeluccis ever since, forever. And they have been fighting and fighting and fighting to keep William Bennett in prison, for the parole board to honor the sentence that the jury recommended the judge impose, 120 years. And they've been fighting to get that accomplished. Now, I went by to see them because I wanted them to be aware that they're probably going to suffer some sort of a depression with all of a sudden this person with whom they've been focused, is no longer in existence, and Joe is still dead. He's still buried out of the Calvary Cemetery. And so I went by and talked to him about, first of all, the Bennett dying in prison and that sort of thing, but then I wanted to alert him to this the emotional kind of letdown that could occur that might at some point affect them physically. And so we talked about that for a little bit. And it's just kind of amazing how I thought on my way home, after visiting with them, how involved we get with crime victims in our office. I mean, we become friends with these people who have suffered these awful losses, and this was just the example. And as I left, she says, "Does this mean that we're not going to see you anymore?" See, because we've been kind of a big support. And this caused me to think, boy, this would be a great time for Mary Houlihan, who's the director of our victim services in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, to come on and talk a little bit about coping with the holidays and important dates and anniversaries and those kind of things by people. Typically, in this instance, we're talking about survivors of homicide victims. So Mary, this is nothing new, but there are some things that people ought to expect if they're survivors of homicide victims at this time of year.
That's true. Really, anybody that's lost a family member to any kind of death knows that holidays and dates that were of importance to those people can be difficult times. But for crime victims, the violence involved often and the suddenness and unexpectedness of the loss really adds to that. So it's important for crime victims to realize, or the surviving family members, I should say, that they need to only do what they feel like they can do. Holidays bring enough stress to all of us and enough responsibility and added expectation and all sorts of things. For people that are surviving or have just recently gone through loss, or for crime victims even like the Angelusis in their 24th year of Holidays Without Joe, everything about the violence and the way that loved one was taken from them can be reopened like a wound and really make the holidays something that's difficult for them to cope with and experience. There's also something called survivor's guilt, where people have a hard time when they lose someone feeling okay about being happy again. And obviously the holidays are a time where we expect everybody to be happy and jolly and ho ho ho, but it's very hard for crime victims' families to feel okay having joy.
Yeah, I want to just, for a second, we're talking about the Angelusis, and when they're just classy people. When William Bennett died, they released a statement, and it said this: "We are glad to put this matter to rest, and justice has finally been achieved for Joe, our son. We are sorry for William Bennett's family, as we know all too well the effect death can have on families." William Bennett's family then made this statement: "My uncle's gone now. He's gone to a better place, and they got what they wanted. He died in prison. And listen to this: I just pray that God have mercy on their soul."
It's horrible.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is, these families, because of this parole system, but because it never goes away. These people are never put in prison and expected to serve the sentences they're given. It never goes away for the families, and they have to put up with this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, where if they said, "Look, you've been sentenced to 120 years. It's not on the family to keep you here. The justice system has given you this sentence. We put you there, and you're going to stay." But now they put it on the backs of Joe's mother and father as they fight. They have to fight to keep him in prison, and as a result, the family of the murderer that killed the sheriff's deputy now feels like that it's
that they can sit in judgment on that family.
That they're sitting in judgment on the victim's family. It's insane.
It's
I mean,
insane.
if nothing else, the system should provide support for these victims and say, "Listen, we've got this. Okay, we're going to take care of it." This is the reason that people look to the justice system when something happens, and we don't go out and do things ourselves. When someone hurts a family member, we don't have the need to go out and kill that person because they've killed someone we know, because we're supposed to be able to look to the justice system to handle it. But the justice system's not handling it. It's throwing it right on the backs of this family again, and that is what is so outrageous about this. And that's what you have to deal with as a victim's advocate, is trying to get victims through this and make them understand it never ends.
And what I do a lot of explaining about is the broken promises of the justice system. All of us out in the public feel like we are protected and feel like certain things will happen. It's exacerbated by the TV version of justice. And then when you happen to become a crime victim, it's reality after reality of broken promise, of this verdict means this, no it doesn't really. This sentence means this, no it doesn't really. They're going to be in jail for life, oh, except for if the parole board says otherwise. It's just constant wounds that we're re-victimizing families with.
Tune in to the following stations every Sunday to hear full episodes of In Touch with Ray the DA and Don Evans.